Okay, hey YouTube. I know it's been a while since I've made a video, but I was traveling quite a bit, 5 times in the last 5 weeks actually. So, been a little bit busy, um, just haven't had an opportunity. But I want to get to all the questions that people asked last week, or 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, um, whenever I made that last video, starting off with what is on your arm. And it is a body media. It's kind of like a Fitbit, whatever. Keeps track of how many calories you burn, how much you sleep, things like that. So it's just to try to help me kind of get back in shape, get fit, get healthy, whatever. And it's nice to have it sort of as kind of a constant reminder, things like that. So, on to the questions. Somebody asked, kind of, since you started your social media presence, has it been all you expected? What did you think your viewers were going to be like? Things like that. And so I guess my answer is that, I didn't really have too many expectations for this YouTube channel when I made it. I thought that the transition montage could potentially get a lot of views because I'd seen a lot of other montage videos kind of get massive numbers of hits. So that's why I initially made it, to kind of see if that would happen and then kind of just see how that would actually look in the data, because I was a digital marketer and I was just kind of curious to see sort of how does a YouTube video look when it goes viral, or as viral as it does, or whatever. So that's kind of what I expected. I didn't actually expect people to kind of respond the way they did. I never messaged anybody when I saw their YouTube videos for the most part. And so I was really surprised at how many messages I got from all sorts of people out there who, responded very well to the videos and the content and things like that. So, the viewers have been kind of, I guess, surprising in that regard, and kind of just holding my hand through surgery and things like that. So that's why I make these Q&A videos. Thank you, everybody out there. It's been a really sort of enjoyable experience. There have definitely been some awkward comments and awkward things and whatever, but I think that comes with the territory, and there definitely an awkward comment is better than kind of a troll comment on the video anyway. So it's okay. So let's see, what other questions do we have here? Some people don't classify themselves as trans, or they don't say that they're trans after SRS, and fall away from videos and blogs. Do you feel some of this, or see why? And so I guess I can start with the second half of that question, which is, no, I don't see myself as not trans, because I had the surgery, or just in general. And, I think that I understand, I guess, sort of conceptually where they're coming from. But I think that really kind of is some internalized transphobia, rather than anything else. I don't kind of like the line of thinking. That's not saying that people have to be out and proud and broadcasting their status or whatever, but you're trans, with or without the surgery. You're always going to be trans, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with being trans, obviously. It's just different, and I think that a lot of people like to say, well, now I'm not, or now I can get over it, or now I don't have to disclose, and, whatever, those are all people's choices, but, those aren't the choices that I make. But I do see how people can kind of move away from making the YouTube videos or even being involved with the trans community, and I think that's because as you move further away from your own transition, it gets harder to probably relate in a lot of ways because, like, I know I went through a lot of, say, agony over trying to decide if I should transition or when, or how do I tell people, like, how do I come out? How do I do all the things that come with transition? And while I'm, not particularly super far down the road, it's hard to remember how I felt when I was trying to make the decision if I should transition or not in the first place. And so I think that that's why people start to maybe move away from making videos or move away from the trans community, because it's harder for you to relate, and you can offer kind of support and an example of, whatever, like, see, there is life after transition, but it gets harder to find things to talk about. You maybe don't want to talk about those things as much anymore. And it just becomes, like, not as big and not as recent part of your life. And it's just like graduating from college. It's this huge, big ordeal. And then it happens, and then 8 years later, you're just like, holy shit, I can't believe that I graduated from college 8 years ago. And those college experiences, college students become less relatable. So it's just change. It's not better or worse. It just happens. Although I think some people kind of treat it differently. Am I dating? Am I even meeting potential people to date? Does my trans status impact this? And do you experience any negative blowback from people at work, public, or neighbors in regard to my trans status? So I guess no, I don't really receive any negative blowback. I think, one, that's because I have the privilege of passing. And so unless I tell people, for the most part, I don't think they know, and if they do, they definitely don't say anything about it. Does my trans status impact dating? I would think that based off of some recent online dating experimenting, that yes, it does. Because I go back and forth between whether or not I should disclose my trans status up front on my profile. Sometimes I do, sometimes I kind of want to take it down. And I have noticed recently, after taking it down, that I'm having maybe different conversations. Maybe it's because I'm making more of an effort to try to get back out there and date. But it seems like it can make a difference, and I think ultimately what that just means is that some of those conversations that I'm having now will probably die once this status is disclosed. And, whatever, that's, like, it takes a while to get to that point, but eventually you realize that's their problem, not mine, because I'm trans, and, well, if they don't accept that, that's not anything that I can really fix, nor do I kind of feel like I want to spend a lot of energy trying to fix that. So, yes, it interferes with dating, but not really at the same time. And so the final question is, what has been the most positive thing that has happened to you since the surgery? And when might you think of going for breast augmentation in the near future? And so I think probably breast augmentation will happen next year, probably early in the year, like January or February, because you're supposed to sort of refrain from physical activity for a little bit. I'm trying to lose some weight and get in better shape, so I want to do that first. And then for tax purposes, it makes sense at this point to just roll it over to next year, hit my out-of-pocket max and my deductible at the very beginning of the year so that healthcare is effectively free for 2015 after that. So that's just kind of my rationale. I don't really need to do it right now. I can wait on that. And the most positive thing that has happened to me since surgery is like living every day without kind of that reminder that something isn't right. There's still plenty of work for me to do to finish my transition, including the boob job, some hair removal, whatever. But overall, it's nice to not have to tuck. It's nice when you use the bathroom to not have to point and shoot. It's nice to have the right equipment. And I think the thing that surprised me and kind of has been the nicest is that kind of extra clarity, or kind of, like, you're not spending any energy thinking about or being kind of annoyed by what's down there, and then you can start using that mental energy or whatever for other things. And that's definitely, I think, probably the nicest benefit from surgery. And with that, that is all of the Q&A, and I will probably do another one of these videos later this fall.